Hello, my name is Alexander Hart, and for my project, I chose to look into equal employment opportunities and the laws that come along with it. I chose this because I believe everyone should have a fair chance at employment, and it's still something that we're battling with in our country today, even though we've made great strides. Equal employment opportunity laws ensure that all individuals have an equal chance regardless of race, color, religion, sex, age, disability, or national origin. This means that employment decisions must be made on the basis of job requirements and worker qualifications. There are many different laws, acts, and orders in place that are related to equal employment opportunities. Equal employment opportunities are enforced through constitutional amendments, legislation, executive orders, and court decisions. America has made great strides, but we still have much more work to do in this area. Discrimination is the act of making unjustified distinctions between human beings based on groups, classes, and other categories to which they are perceived to belong to. People may be discriminated on the basis of race, gender, age, or sexual orientation, as well as many other categories. On the date of January 31st, 1965, the 13th Amendment was passed by Congress abolishing slavery. The 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution abolishes slavery and involuntary servitude, except as a form of punishment. Although there is still much more to be done, this was America's first step towards equal opportunity. The 14th Amendment addressed citizenship rights and equal protections under the law and was proposed in response to issues related to former slaves following the Civil War. Passed by Congress on July 9, 1868, the amendment provides equal protection to all citizens and requires due process and state action. This grants all citizens to make, perform, modify, and terminate contracts and enjoy all the benefit, terms, and conditions of contractual relationships. All people born in the United States are citizens of the country and deserve the same rights and freedoms as everyone else. This act requires employers must not discriminate against females and pay them the same as they would pay a male for performing the same task. This act prohibits gender wage discrimination, and this was a major step for females in the workplace after going years being paid just less than males. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act forbids discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. Passed in 1964, this act forbids virtually any sort of discrimination. It also prohibits unequal application of voter registration requirements, racial segregation in school, and of course employment. This act was put in place to protect persons over the age of 40 from any sort of age discrimination in the workplace. It also provides equal employment opportunity under the conditions that were not covered in the original Civil Rights Act of 1964. It applies to the standards for pensions and benefits provided by employers. Requires affirmative action in the federal government that prohibits discrimination on the basis of disability and programs conducted by all federal agencies. States can receive money to do research, so it can actually research how to put in things that would help disabled people in their workplace. This act was aimed towards getting veterans of the Vietnam War back adjusted to the workforce. Federal contractors and subcontractors must take affirmation action in employing veterans. This act was set in place for disabled veterans and provides assistance in finding employment and other means of compensation. This act states that no employer can discriminate against a woman who is expecting a child or plans to have a child. The act covers pregnancy, childbirth, and other medical conditions that could be related, although companies with 15 or less employees don't have to follow this. Due to decisions made in the Supreme Court that limited employees' power when they have or are pursuing charges against their employer, this act states employees have the right to trial by jury when pursuing discrimination charges in court. It also added in that employees could sue and collect compensation for harassment. This act strongly forbids employers from discriminating against disabled persons. It states we cannot discriminate when it comes to housing, education, public transportation, reformation, health services, voting, public services, and employment. It ensures a person with a disability gets a fair chance. This order forbids any contractors who receive more than $10,000 from the federal government. They can't discriminate against race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. Unlike the original Civil Rights Act, this executive order states that companies under this order must document the hiring and employment of these people. Executive Order 11478. This act forbids discrimination in the competitive services of the federal civilian workforce on certain grounds. This act allows for fairness as the government only bases its employees by merit and fitness. Executive. EEOC, founded in 1964 under the Civil Rights Act to enforce civil rights laws in the workplace. The EEOC investigates discrimination-based complaints based on an individual's race, color, sex, age, disability, sexual orientation, gender identification, and relations. They are also responsible for conducting investigations and coming to resolutions. They established the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, which allows employees to sue their employees for wage discrimination, and they're also the ones who make the uniformed guidelines. These programs were put in place to cover and enforce the executive orders that the government places on companies that do business with the federal government. These companies must have written affirmation action plans consisting of utilization analysis, goals and timetables, and action steps. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation.